Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another movie review, sort of still for Halloween, even though that was a couple days ago now. But just got me in the mood to start doing more horror movie reviews on my channel again. And this time we're going to be talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010. And I did review the first two original Nightmare films on my channel quite a while ago now, so you guys can go and search that on my channel if you want to see my thoughts on those. Definitely plan on going back and reviewing Dream Warriors, Dream Master, Dream Child, and stuff at least at some point. But with reviewing the Friday remake, I thought it makes sense for me to go back and review the Nightmare remake too. This one is, I actually like it to a certain extent. I think it's one of the better horror remakes out there, I guess. You guys know I liked the Friday remake. I thought Jason was handled well in that movie at least, although it was just quite a bit bare bones as far as Friday movies go. And this one is kind of similar, really, because with this, they had a chance to do something more with the Nightmare movies. When this movie was first being worked on and stuff like that, Robert Englund himself, the original Freddy Krueger, he gave his approval to the idea of it. He liked the casting of Jackie Earle Haley, who we'll talk more about in a few minutes. And he said himself he thinks that the story could be told a little bit better nowadays, given all the effects and the other technical capabilities we have in movies, in this generation. And initially they were going with the idea that they'd sort of do what they did with the Friday remake and combine certain elements from the first three films into one. But what they ended up doing is just sort of doing a retelling, or just completely focused on the first movie. That's one of my gripes right off the bat. I feel like they could have done more with this. With the dream sequences and stuff, they weren't very imaginative or creative in this movie. Sure, they were highly reminiscent of the original first film, and that's probably why it's like that. But I think if they had gone with the idea of combining more of the elements from the first three movies, that would have been better. More would have been going on. We would have had more to watch or be entertained by. I just think they could have done a lot more with the dream sequences in this movie. The boiler room and different areas like that, they look cool and everything. Again, very similar to the first film. But I think they could have gone a little bit more all out. Some of the effects and CGI they have and stuff. They could have used that to a greater extent, I think. And originally, this movie is going to have two sequels. So maybe they were planning to do more, and this is just the very basic start of it. But we're probably never going to see those. We're probably going to be getting another Nightmare reboot within the next few years or so. But how is the movie we actually got besides all that? I still like it. Honestly, I do like it. I'm not going to say, I love the original Nightmare movies. I mean, look at the poster in the background. Robert Englund's definitely my, Freddy Krueger, no question about it. But I think Jackie Earle Haley was far from the problem in the remake here. I'll explain to you the story first. It's pretty much exactly like the first film, the original movie. Of course, there's this backstory about Fred Krueger, and in this version, he was actually working as this janitor or caretaker at a preschool or a kindergarten or something like that. And that's how he got to know these kids as they were, still young and stuff like that. And of course, in the original movies, it was always implied that Freddy was not just a child killer, but also probably a child molester. And they couldn't go into that as much back then, because it was even more of a sensitive subject. Of course, it still is, but they decided to go a little bit more down that route with this movie. And so when the parents find out that Fred Krueger has been taking their children into this secret little basement area he has, leaving marks on him. It causes them to chase him down after he gets out on this technicality or something like that. And they use Molotovs, they burn him alive. And of course, this causes Freddy to come back as the demon in the dreams and wreak vengeance upon their children. And, throughout the movie they do toy with the idea that maybe Freddy didn't actually do it in this version. Like, he might have actually been innocent, and their kids were just, saying things to say things. But, that was probably a waste of time, because we know they're probably going to just have him be the antagonist anyway. They weren't going to make him like the anti-hero. They don't want us, rooting for Freddy Krueger, right? Even though a lot of us kind of are anyway, for some reason, because Freddy's just awesome, right? Despite all the, the shit he actually did. But, the idea probably didn't really need to be in the movie, although it makes sense that they would question it to some extent. But you understand the parents' actions, though, too. Of course, even if they have that strong idea in their head that someone did do that to their child, I think any parent would definitely have the inkling to do something like that for sure. And so that's the plot of the movie, and you have Nancy looking into it in this movie as she did in the original film. Nancy in this one being played by Rooney Mara. Just give me a second, guys, if you would. Just pulling up the cast list real quick. Anyway. That's the result when you have Facebook open when you're trying to do a video. But yeah, anyway, Rooney Mara, she played Nancy in this one. Her name's not Nancy Thompson, it's Nancy Hallbrook. Then he had let's see, Kyle Gallner as Quentin Smith. But I mainly want to talk about Rooney Mara as Nancy. I said Jackie Earle Haley wasn't the problem earlier on, and he wasn't. I think he actually did a decent version of the character. Certainly more serious than the original Freddy was, and especially some of the later movies in the original Nightmare series. And some people did miss some of the jokes and the wisecracks and stuff like that, but they do still have certain lines that kind of play on that a little bit more in this one. But they're trying to make Freddy a little bit more intense and scary, or more so like he was, more like in the shadows like he was in the first movie. So it kind of makes sense they wouldn't just have him all out in the first movie. So maybe they're planning on giving him more lines in the sequels, who knows. But I think Jackie Earle Haley actually did a good job. He's a very good actor. If you've ever seen Watchmen, his performance as Rorschach, it's just awesome. And I think he worked, He had that sort of Batman voice for Freddy, except it sounded a little less ridiculous. And he was fairly creepy, I think he could have worked as a different version of Krueger. And I'd certainly rather see more of his take on the character instead of another reboot, but oh well. Then he also had, like I said, Kyle Gallner as Quentin Smith. He's basically just a love interest to Nancy. He's okay, sort of dull, I think, though. Then he had Thomas Dekker as Jesse, who I think who actually did a good job acting wise. He probably should have been the male main character in the movie. And you also had Kellan Lutz as Dean Russell, and he's an actor we've been seeing kind of more of lately. He's all right, but he's only in the first few scenes or so, just to get killed as an opening. You have Clancy Brown as one of the parents, though, and of course Clancy Brown's known for voicing Lex Luthor. He was also in Netflix's Daredevil recently. He's a good actor. Then you had Connie Britton as Nancy's mom. She's all right. But yeah, then you also had Katie Cassidy as Chris. And she is sort of like the Tina in this movie. Of course, Tina being the blonde that gets killed on the ceiling in the original film. That ends up happening to her in this one, too. But Katie Cassidy, I thought she should have been the main female character. She should have been the female lead. Because she actually shows emotion. I do like Katie Cassidy. She's good as Laurel on Arrow. I liked her on Supernatural. She's done, some other stuff. But I thought she just gave more to her performance than Rooney did as Nancy. And Rooney Mara, I know she, there's various reports all over the place. They're out there, about how Rooney Mara didn't really enjoy herself making this movie, and how she, highly regrets being involved in it, and how it almost made her quit acting, apparently. I just heard such, things about Rooney Mara. It just makes her come across really just unappreciative, and I don't know. She's not a very good actress. You know, I've seen like clips of her in other movies. She's just very dull and very bland. It doesn't seem like she's interested in any of the roles she's in. She certainly doesn't live up to Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in the original series. Far less charismatic, and like I said, I wish Katie Cassidy's character would have been the lead in this movie. So Rooney Mara was the problem acting wise for sure. Everyone else is all right overall, anyway. But yeah, those are mainly the comments on the movies that I have. You know, as far as the makeup for Freddy goes, they tried to make him look more like a real burn victim, but I know at one point they decided to make it look a little bit more over the top. The prosthetics for it and the visuals and stuff look all right. They look good. Although he does sort of look more like a ghoul from Fallout than Freddy Krueger, so I probably could have tweaked it a little bit, I think, but I think it looks okay. It does look more real, at least, than, say, Freddy did in the later films, especially in the original series. Like I said, the only issues I really have with it are that the dream sequences could have been a little bit more creative. They could have done more with them, but again, maybe that would have happened in the sequels. And also, Rooney Mara is just not good, and those are pretty much the only real complaints I have with it. There's CGI blood in the movie. It looks fine, though, and it does have like a creepy, more serious tone to it that's sort of appropriate if they're doing a version just based on the first movie. And I think Jackie Earle Haley is actually a pretty good, different version of Freddy. Certainly not Robert Englund or anything. But I would have liked to have seen more of his version instead of getting another reboot years later. But yeah, overall, I did like this one, minus a handful of problems with it. And I don't think it deserves quite all the hate it gets. I'm actually going to give this like a solid, I'm going to give it a C+, I think. C+, B-. I'm putting it along the same lines as the Friday remake, which I gave about a C+ or a B or a B- as well. I gave Hatchet like a C or a C-, I think, and I definitely like this movie more than Hatchet. I'll say that, at least the first movie. We need to see the other two movies with Danielle Harris, but yeah, I think this one's actually alright. I would have liked to have seen what they have done with the series and later films, but I guess we'll never know. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. Here I come.